Okay, everyone. I think we are missing a couple tutors, but I'm going to go ahead and get started so that we don't take too long today. Everything that we will be discussing today will be recorded. And then I'll send it out to everyone so you can have the resources. I encourage, if you are able to turn on your video so we can have an interactive moment, but I understand if you can't. Thank you, Reggie, for having your video open. And then at any point when I'm going through anything, please stop me if you have any questions. If you look at the bottom where it says chat and you have a question, you can put it on and I can answer it at any time when I have a moment. The focus of today's meeting is going to be how to make online tutoring engaging. We will have the workshop training at the end of the month. So if you're interested in that or you have any questions on that, I would um, I would join that meeting. We're not going to be talking about any of those questions. Now, if you do have questions, I'm not going to dismiss your questions, but we're going to focus today on how to make tutoring engaging. See, we have some new tutors as well, so I encourage you guys to join that training in at the end of the month. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Is everyone able to see my screen? Yes? Awesome, thank you. So today, again, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about how to make tutoring engaging. And one of the first things that we're going to talk about are some features that Zoom has to offer. Now we do have our Tutor Cruncher video, but I would definitely recommend using Zoom. Zoom is free for 2 users. If you have more than 2 users, then you would have to pay, but it's typically just you and the child. So you don't need to upgrade to the other version. Um, Now, some things I'm going to go over is how to use the whiteboard feature and how to use the sharing screen feature, and how these things can help you engage the child. During tutoring, you don't want it to just be question and answer. You want to make it engaging. We typically recommend the start of your session, maybe have a little icebreaker, and the end of the session have like a little fun activity to do. Now, when I say activity, I don't mean something 10 minutes. I mean something really short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes max. And I'll show you some resources that you can use to make tutoring engaging. So we're going to talk about the whiteboard feature. Now, to do this, you're going to be looking at the bottom of your screen and see that screen share button. Can everyone see that at the bottom of their screen? Yes. Okay. So that button, once you click on that button, you can click on this whiteboard option. And what will pop up is this really cool whiteboard meeting. And I'm going to share with you my whiteboard so that we can go over some cool features that we can use with the whiteboard. So this is a whiteboard, and some games that you can use is guess that animal, or you can play hangman, and you can play with the children, different games. And if they say A and it's not A, you put it to the side and you give them a head. And the point of hangman is if they have a full person on here, then they essentially lose. So you want to make this adjustable to the child. You don't want to have a big word for a child that is in the second grade, and you don't want a second grade words for our older kids. um some also some awesome things to use on the whiteboard as well is if you have any problems that you want to go over with the child, you can go over it here. And then, so, for a child that's learning what 2 plus 3 means, you maybe want to do, counting out loud. So I'll do some hearts to signify 2, and I'll do some stars to signify 3, so that we can go over with the child in our heads or out loud. We can say, how many hearts do you see? 1, 2, and then let's count using the stars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then what's the answer? Again, if I'm going fast, please stop me. And then when you're done, you can just add the answer on here. Now,
Excuse me.
mhm,
Excuse me. Is this on Zoom or Tutor Cruncher? I missed the beginning. I couldn't see.
yes. So, great question. So I'm using Zoom's feature.
Okay.
I recommend Zoom. Tutor Cruncher doesn't have as many helpful things as Zoom does. Zoom is more has more features and is more advanced, and it's free for 2 users. So we have more than 2 users. So obviously, we had to upgrade to the new version, but typically our tutors don't need that upgraded version for tutoring. So everything I'm going to go over is based on Zoom. Now, Tutor Cruncher does have the whiteboard option. It's just not as helpful, and it's not as interactive as Zoom is. Now, Catherine, really great thing that you pointed out, or not pointed out, but that you did is, as you can see, this blue line, Catherine did that. So you guys can actually write on this if you go to you should see an annotate button, or you should see a little pencil. Um, can you guys see what's on your screen so that I could know for the future? Is it annotate? Do you guys see that on your screens?
Not sure what what do you mean annotate?
Um, so
I
there
don't
should be like a
see.
little pencil, and underneath it, it should be annotate. You might be able to, let's see.
I don't
I,
see.
I see the
I, s-
pencil,
I-
but I
oh,
don't see anything.
yeah, I see the pencil. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Can you guys click on the pencil and try and draw on the screen?
Oh, that doesn't work.
Okay. Oh, Catherine,
Um,
Vanessa did it.
Oh, okay, good. You guys are doing it. Oh, I can't
Uh,
do it. Oh, I'm jealous. Oh, what's wrong with
Yeah.
mine?
It might be the version that you have. You might want to get an upgraded version.
No, it's my
Can
laptop. I'm on my
mm,
laptop.
I'm not sure. It might be the older Zoom that you're using on the laptop. Maybe after the Zoom training, you can
Oh,
check to
click on
see.
annotate. Oh, I did it.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay. I
So,
have to click on this. Okay.
So it might be difficult to explain the first time to the child, but this is a helpful way to, get them to interact with you. If we're playing, a guess that animal, or something where you guys take turns, they can try and draw on their side, as well as you are able to draw on your side. So if you are
I
answering
don't,
problems like this.
I don't see how the eraser works though.
So if you go to the eraser, you have to actually drag it over the things that you want to erase. So you're gonna have to hold it down and then just go on everything. Like I just erased everyone's work. But
do you have to have a touch screen to use the pencil?
no, you do not. You can use your mouse.
Okay, great.
I
Okay.
only have a phone. The eraser doesn't seem to do anything.
Okay.
It won't
Okay.
drag.
So then maybe you can click that clear option and then click on clear all drawings. Can you see if that works for you?
I don't see clear.
Okay. It might be different with the phone than it will with the laptop,
Yeah.
but I'm using the laptop, and all I'm doing is I click on the eraser and I just I just kind of hold it over everything and just kind of erase what I want to erase. And you can also put text in here. So let's say that you wanted it to be a little bit more, because sometimes it can be a little hard to do it. To do 45 times 2 equals, oops. And then, you know, you can have them show you their work. So I think the biggest thing about this is that you're able to see what steps that they're taking in order to answer the problem. And you have the highlighting features, you have you have spotlight features, and I'll show you guys more of helpful ways to use the spotlight features. Does anyone have any questions on the whiteboard?
I do.
Okay.
So do you have to be on a laptop to access the whiteboard on Zoom? Because I tried to access it on my phone and I wasn't able to.
I'm not too sure. Maybe I can stop sharing mine and you can try on yours. Can you click on the share screen button and then try whiteboard for yourself? Let me open it up to everyone. There
It
we go.
says only the host can share.
I just opened
Yes,
it up.
mine too.
I just opened it up. Sorry. Go ahead and try again.
Screen. Oh. Everything. Okay, I'm sharing my screen right now, but I don't see the whiteboard.
Okay. So it might just be a laptop. Oh, Catherine. I see Catherine's screen.
I don't know if that's a screen though. Whoops.
Let me see if I can.
Let's see. Wait.
Yep, that's a whiteboard. You just shared your whiteboard.
Okay.
Okay.
And let's see this screen while
And the eraser
sharing.
worked.
Okay, maybe it was because I shared it instead of you sharing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a
Maybe.
tall whiteboard. It's not like mine where mine was like a rectangle. It'll be like you know, taller rather than wide.
Why is
But
it recording? When I click on it, it says it's recording.
I'm recording this for everyone, so
Okay.
that once I share it and you have any questions, you can come back to it. Or some of our
Okay.
tutors that didn't get to join us, they'll have the resources to do everything.
So
Okay.
once you actually share the screen, then that is the whiteboard.
Yes, exactly.
All right,
You
thank
got it. Does anyone else have any questions on the whiteboard features?
Thank you. That
I-
was super helpful.
Yes.
Of course.
I still
Of course.
I don't see how to get text on the whiteboard.
It might just have a little bit of different features because I'm on my laptop and I'm able to draw out the text. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay.
So it might just be, you know, some features might not be
On the phone.
on
Yeah.
the phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, I would recommend to just play around with it before the meeting. You know, I played around with all of this before everyone came on. You're able to start the meeting by yourself, and so you can test it out yourself.
But then what would you use instead of a whiteboard if you want to write letters out?
You might use well, I don't know how many tutors typically use their phones as tutoring. Will you be using your phone for tutoring?
That's all I have right now.
Okay, so I can look up some other programs that you can use. I know that we have some, but I don't know off the top of my head. So what I can do is after the meeting, I'm gonna send any material that we go over today. I'm gonna send in the email. So I'll send you that material at the end on how to add text and or programs that let you add text.
Okay.
Okay. Okie dokie. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on if there's no questions on the whiteboard. And some features with the whiteboard that you can use is the drawing game, hangman. You can use posting questions on there to answer together. And something really cool about Zoom is that anytime you share a screen, the child is able to draw. So for example, I'm drawing right now. So if I did want to post a question on the screen that I'm drawing on, you can. And I'm going to show you how to share the screen afterwards. But this is why I recommend Zoom, because there's just so many features. Okay, so let's talk about sharing your screen in general. It might be a little different with a phone. So I'll have to research on the phone because I did it based on the laptop. But basically, you would click on the same button, share screen, and instead of clicking on the whiteboard, you would click on this, you would click on the document that you want. So my document is going to be this one. And if it's a video that you need sound in, you want to make sure to click this share sound button. If not, they're not going to hear any audio. And I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. I'm going to share some videos that I like to personally use. And then once you're ready, you can click on that share button. So for example, what I'm doing right now, that's how I'm sharing everything with you. And by sharing your screen, you're able to, some games that you can play are some Mad Libs, I Spy, Zoom In, Guess That Animal, Dance Break, and Karaoke. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. So what I did for the Mad Libs is I Googled free printable Mad Libs, and this came up. So some amazing things about Mad Libs is that they're supposed to be fun, they're supposed to be silly, you know, you're just supposed to use like random words, and it can help with teaching as well because you have to, you know, they have to know what adjectives are, they have to know what nouns are, you know, they need to have some creativity to say games and a plant, you know, that might be a little hard for them, so you might have to, you know, help them out. But the point of this is to be silly, fun. It shouldn't take too long. And you can do it based off of the grade level of the child. So, you know, if the child is younger, it might be some easier words and it might not be adjectives. You know, you could ask them instead of teaching them what adjective nouns are.
I love Mad Libs. We use that often.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
if you're able to use it, I would recommend it. It doesn't typically take too long to go through it. And it's silly, you know? Okay. Another thing is I Googled I Spy free printables, and this is what I came on. This might be really cool for a kid who loves space or aliens or anything. So basically what it is you want to count how many of the little ships you see. So I see one, and then you just want to kind of go in and differentiate the ships. But this is helpful for finding the ships, counting, and just being interactive with you. So again, I just Googled free I Spy printables, and this is what came up. I'm gonna share my resources with you guys in the email. So if you do have a hard time finding a free printable, then I will give you some at the end. Now this next game is going to be called Zoom In, and the point of it is to kind of guess the animal that's zoomed in. So I grabbed a picture and I zoomed in very closely, so it's a little blurry. But does anyone know what animal this is? Can anyone guess what animal this is? Okay.
Nope.
What'd you say? So then we're gonna zoom out a little bit.
I said elephant.
There you go. You got it. And then the goal is an elephant. I've used this in the past. It's very fun. They get to figure out, I'll do between the legs, you know, somewhere really hard depending on the child, or I'll do a harder animal depending on the child. But an elephant is pretty recognizable once you start you know, zooming out just a little bit. And again, what I just did is I Googled picture of an elephant, and then I downloaded it and I shared my screen and I pulled up that picture. And you can prepare these prior to your lessons. You know, what I'm using right now is Google Slides, and it's been very easy to show you guys everything. So, you know, you can add the pictures prior to the lessons and do it. And that might be helpful too if you have multiple kids in the same grade level, is you can use the same resources for all of the kids. So you don't have to do an animal for each child or do a different Mad Lib for each child. It it can be the same games, just for them all. Okay, and then let's see. So then another thing that you can use with Zoom is some videos. Let's see, I have, please repeat how you did that. Okay, so how I shared my screen, I think that's what your question is. So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna go on this share screen button at the bottom of Zoom. And what I can do is I can pre-open up these, pre-open up a resource. Okay, I'm gonna end my screen sharing. So then the first step is gonna be click on that share screen button, right? And then my next step will be, I will be looking for the Mad Lib that I got. So I'm gonna go ahead and share that screen. And then you're able to actually see the screen of the Mad Lib document versus the Google slide that I used. So this is the same for anything. Whenever you download anything, you want to have it open in the background so that when you share the screen, it will be there for you to use.
And they'll
So
be
you
able to
act-
write the answers?
They'll be able to write it. You can use the annotate button and you can write it for them. So, you know, a game could be I Spy, and I'll just make it small. Here, I'm gonna make this document bigger. Okay. Oops. Then I'm gonna go ahead and move this and put I Spy here. So you can help them out with the games that are with this portion of the game, you know, like typing everything out. And again, if you click on annotate, you guys can do that yourself. So if it's an older kid that knows how to write, they can do it themselves. But if you want to help them out, you can click on the annotate button, and then you can click on that text box if you're not on a phone, or I'm not sure if the phones have it. So
And so you actually downloaded the documents to Zoom?
I just downloaded it to my computer.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But how do you get from the blank screen to get this, for instance, the Mad Libs on there?
Okay, so I'm going to show you again. Let me share with you my other screen. It's going to be the same exact steps that I'm going to show you. Okay, so the first step will be clicking that share screen button. The second step will be clicking on the document. So if you have the document already open, it will pop up here. Okay, so let's say you have 5 documents. You have 5 documents in the background. Okay, so for example, that Mad Lib, it was a document on here. I'm not able to actually share that part of my screen with you guys because it's part of, like, you know, features on my Zoom, but it's going to be the same for your Zoom. You're going to be able to use, you're going to be able to look at the document and share that document. Okay, and then for instance, this document that I'm sharing is on the internet. Can you see that little Chrome button?
Yes.
That way I
Yes.
can just share my Chrome screen, and I'll show you how to do that with videos that I use. I had someone ask a question on where did I find that document. Is I just Googled Mad Lib free printables. I Googled I Spy free printables, and I just Googled a picture of the elephant to do that zoom in game. And again, all of this is recorded. So if you came a little bit afterwards, you can see the recording of the first part where I explained that. Okay, so once you click on the document, you want to click on that share button to the right. It's going to be blue. And I recommend that you, when prior to your lesson, you get familiar with the sharing screen. It's very easy once you get used to it, but I can understand how the first time it can be a little bit difficult. But once you got it, it should be pretty straightforward. So again, for those coming in, we just did some Mad Libs, we did some I Spy games, and then we did a zoom in game trying to guess what animal it is. Okay. So now, one of the things that I love to do, especially with the girls, is, I mean, the boys love this too, is a dance break. You know, this, I like to say the beginning of the session or the end of the session, you want to start and end it fun. You know, you don't want them to kind of dread the next session with you. So I like to use this freeze dance. This is my favorite video because it's short, sweet, and it's fun. So you want to also get up, you want to dance with them, you want to have fun with them, because if they're the only ones dancing, then it can be a little discouraging and they might not dance with you. So here's the resource that I like to use. It's called Freeze Dance. And again, I'm going to share with you this video. I love this video, and you know what? I gotta make sure that my audio is being shared. So remember how I showed you that you have to click on the audio button. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So since I'm going to be showing you a video, this share sound at the bottom left needs to be clicked in order for you guys to hear my audio. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Again, this is all recorded. I mean, this will all be recorded. So if you have any questions, you can go back to it and go slower. And then you can click on this. Can you guys hear the audio?
Now remember,
Yes.
when I say freeze, freeze. And when I say dance, dance. Dancing, dancing all around.
Okay, so this video is 2 minutes. You can start, you can end it with this video. It can be a reinforcer. You can use it like, oh, hey, like, you know, if you're able to finish this, like, let's tackle the next 10 minutes, and then we'll end in a dance break. Okay. Another resource that I like to use, especially with the girls or with the boys that love, you know, Disney, is to sing with them, you know. And I just Googled "Let It Go" with lyrics. I didn't put karaoke because I wouldn't feel comfortable singing by myself. I want Elsa in the background for me. But again, you know, you want to be interactive, and you want to be able to be engaging as well. If they're the only ones singing, then they're going to be discouraged, and it's going to be hard for them to act. They're not going to want to do it. They're going to seem silly and everything. So like this video is 3 minutes. So you know, it can be a short video to use. Does anyone have any questions on the videos or anything like that? Now with the videos, I do want to mention.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I really like Jack Hartman. I see that on there. And I just wanted to say, like, if you guys want to use that, I really think it's good. I just wanted your opinion on Jack Hartman. Are you familiar with, if you click on, like, I think so far everything I've seen is very clean, very good for kids.
Yeah.
And he also has some really good, if you're working on phonics with kids, he's amazing. Like for the bossy R, you know, vowel talkers, anything to do with, I mean, you could just, it's good because you can memorize it by, you know, kids learn by memorizing too. So
Yeah,
just,
I like him too.
yes, just throwing that up there.
Great. Great. Thank you for pointing that out. You know, there's so many videos that you can use in the session to make it more engaging. I wouldn't rely heavily on videos, but videos are a great resource to use. Katie, did you have a question?
So I was just going to comment on the Jack Hartman. I use a lot of his, not just the vowels and the phonics, but I use a lot of his, actually I'm going to be talking in a few minutes anyway, but I use a lot of his counting, multiplication videos. You guys may not be as familiar with the math ones, but he also has a bunch of multiplication, adding, subtracting, and stuff like that. So in addition to the phonics, he has a lot of math videos also.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. And I don't get me wrong, I don't use it
No.
often, but for a movement break, you're
Oh, yeah.
getting the phonics in there too. I just think it's great. Yeah.
I agree. It's a great resource to use. And kids love videos. They're always on their tablets, they're always on the computer. Okay, so now with academic ways to use Zoom, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, so you can use Zoom. So we showed some fun ways, we saw some videos, we saw some icebreakers that we can use. But now let's talk about some academic ways to use Zoom. As you can use it to read a book, so you can show a book that you have. And the way that another thing is going over some problems, so you can show a math problem and they can annotate and use that to answer the problems. You can use it for test taking, so you can show them a test and have them answer the test, and they can use their own piece of paper when doing like a long math problem. But I would recommend as much as you can to have them show you how they did a problem. So if it's showing you their sheet of paper at the end of the test and with their answers, and changing your background. So this book, I got it online. I did some free books for second graders, and I got Balloon Fun. I have a couple of other books. Let me just.
What website are you on?
I just downloaded a book. So I googled free books, free PDF downloadable books, and then this is what came up. And I just went ahead and added it on here so that we could do it quick. But by pre-doing the slides, I don't have to shuffle around my computer and pop up the reading. So I really do recommend, if you can, to use Google Slides and to add any documents that you're going to be using on here, so that it can be faster. You're not you already took all that time to engage the child and to get their attention. You don't want to take a long time to go to the reading books and everything. Okay, so Hoopla Digital Online. I'm going to add that resource to the resources I'm going to go over. Thank you for adding that resource. Okay, so and if you guys have any, education.com, great resources. And then you can go over word problems as well. So I already pre-selected not a word problem, sorry, a math problem. I already pre-selected a math problem and I already put it on here. So it's quick. I don't have to go back and forth. I do recommend using Google Slides as much as you can, and just pre-do everything. And if you have children with the same grade level, you can use that same Google slide for the other child as well. And this took me 5 minutes to gather all this information and just put it on here. So I would recommend just exploring some things that like adding to Google Slides and presenting as well. Okay, so here, the question, use one of these symbols to compare 42 and 24. So you can either use these symbols and then have them put it here, what symbol they would put. Again, you can click that annotate button and you can have them write it themselves. And then if they get it wrong, then that's something that you can go over with them. But it's easy enough for them to write on here and do it themselves. Okay. And then the last thing that I would go over for Zoom would be using virtual backgrounds. So let's say you have a busy background right now. I understand that not everyone has an office space to be doing this. So this is a helpful way for you to not have the child distracted from your background. My background right now is blurred. I'm not sure if anyone could tell. I have a white background, so you can't really see. So I blur my background. So the ways that you can do this is to click on the arrow key above your stop video button, and then you're gonna click on choose virtual backgrounds. There's gonna be blur my background, choose virtual background, or choose video filter. I'm gonna choose virtual background right now. I have blur my background, as you guys can maybe see, is my background is blurred. So I'm gonna do choose virtual background. So now to do this, you have to already have a downloaded image. So I googled online teaching backgrounds, and I came up with an image. So let me just look for the image.
I don't have anything stored in my computer for that.
Okay, but you can easily Google it, and you can make that your background. So if you Google background to use, and I just changed my background. So again, all you have to do is Google virtual backgrounds online teaching, and you can have a basic background, and it'll save for your next Zoom meeting. So if you don't have to continually be changing it every single time you log on, it will show up. It will save.
Where do you, when you download it, where do you save it to your desktop, or what do you save it to?
I just saved it to my desktop. I have a folder that is that I labeled TSM, so the Sunshine Method, and all of my resources are in that folder. So I just named it virtual background. And then, so when I went ahead and looked for it, I was able to go ahead and click on that virtual background that I already have.
Once you've added it into Zoom, you don't actually have to save the file on your desktop anymore, just so you know.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And Vanessa, this will be recorded, so have a great tutoring session. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so we went ahead and talked about that. So then this is what it's going to look like. Once you click on that add virtual background, you want to click on this plus button, and then that plus button is going to be add image, and then you can add the image on there. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about is token boards. Does anyone currently work with any kids that have special needs or is looking to? Okay, so this is going to be a great resource to use. I specialize with kids with autism. I'm studying psychology right now for that. So I love working with children that have special needs, but I understand how difficult it might be to have a kid that has ADHD and tutor them virtually. So things that we recommend is maybe working your way up with tutoring. So it could be, you could start off with 45-minute sessions and then work your way up from there, 30-minute sessions, work your way up from there so that they can start building the attention span and they don't get so bored easily. Another thing I would recommend is a token board. And this is going to be helpful with kids who have attention deficit, who have special needs, autism, delays in their learning, because it gives them a visual of how long they have to work in order to get a reward. So there's some easy ways on how to make the token board. Again, I'm going to share this with you guys, and I made it using this link. I will share with it at the end. So here I made a token board for someone who might like Sonic, and I can probably put in here token board I am working for, and then we can say a dance break or a karaoke break or a drawing break, whatever it is, you can put what you're working for in here. So let's put dance break.
Where did you get that again? How did you add that to the screen?
So I just made my own, and I used this blog right here that I have. And so what I did is I just made some squares. But I
Is
will
that
be adding.
something, is that a link you can email to us?
Yes, yes,
Or
everything will be emailed at the end, and I'm gonna be working on some token boards. So right now I have Sonic. The next one I'm gonna make is maybe some Disney princesses and some dinosaurs, so that our tutors can just download it. But right now you would have to make your own token board, and it's just making some squares. The goal is to have 10 or 5 or 10, and then you want to have tokens. So the goal of this is, let's say, for each question that they get a token, and the goal is after 10 tokens we get to do a dance break. So we did our first problem. Great job with your first problem. And I'm going to go ahead and give them a Sonic, right? So we have 9 more thoughts, right? So they have 9 more questions to answer. And let's say you're starting with a child, you might want to just build it all the way up until the 7th one and have them only work for a little bit, or 5, so that they don't have too much to work for, because 10 can be a lot at one point, unless you've been working with a child. And then again, that they answer another question, and then you're like, oh, how many more questions do we need to answer in order to get a dance break? And then they're able to see, oh, I just need 7 more questions. And this is just a good way for them to visualize how long they need to work for. And you guys don't need to use this. This is just something helpful that that we have seen can help, especially with online learning. And the goal of this is to give them a visual of how long they have to work for in order to get that reward. And if you start seeing that their attention is wavering, and it's hard to maintain that, you can tell them like, hey, we need 3 more tokens in order for us to do dance break. And then they'll remember. They'll be like, oh yeah, I need 3 more questions. Like let me focus for the last 3 questions so I can get a dance break. Those are some helpful things to say during a token board, like, hey, we have 4 more tokens and then we get the dance break, or great job for answering that question, we got another token, so that they can see it. Does anyone have any questions on the token board? Now, again, you don't have to use this. This is a helpful feature that we have, and I'm going to be adding more Google Slides on token boards. Okay, no questions. Shakita said for older kids. I'm not sure what that means. This can be used for older or younger kids. And yes, you can send me questions. I'm going to be giving everyone my email. Here, I'll give you my email now.
oops, I meant to send that to everyone.
Okay, so I just posted my email. If anyone has any additional questions, please email me. I will be available for any help that you might have. Again, this is recorded, so if you needed to go back on anything that I explained, or if you need to have the video open while you're on Zoom, you can. And I will be sharing all of my resources that I used, but this is basically what I used. Let me clear that. Like this is the blog on how to use the Google Slides, how to share, how to share a whiteboard on Zoom. This is the Madlib website. I'm going to be sending this to everyone again. So some other helpful resources is going to be Khan Academy. I really like Khan Academy because it can really be like, you can use it based on the child's needs. So if the child's in 4th grade but they're academically at a 2nd grade, you can go to Khan Academy and use it. So I'm going to show you what Khan Academy looks like. open this up. Okay.
I noticed that not everything was free on Khan Academy.
It's gonna be that you are gonna have. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. 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 There we go. Okay, so you just want to click on teachers. So I'm not too sure what just happened. My apologies for that. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen and going through Khan Academy. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure if that recording saved. So if it didn't save, then I'm gonna share with you guys my slides, and just please share with me any questions that you might have. I think because I got kicked out, I don't know if the recording saved. But when you go on Khan Academy, you can click on courses, and here you can see all the courses that Khan Academy has to offer. So, for example, if we are working with some older children that are working on Algebra 1, I'm going to click on Algebra 1. And we can go over with the child these questions. So, for example, I just clicked on the first part of Algebra 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on Start to start Introductions to Variables. Again, this is for any age range that you need. Right now, I'm just doing high school, but you can do second grade, you can do third grade math, and evaluate 9 minus b when b equals 8. So this might be a helpful thing for you to already have on your Google Slides. But again, they can annotate. So if they have to, draw on here 9 minus b, and then b equals 8. So then we're going to do 9 minus 8, and then they're going to come up with the answer. And then so whenever they're done, they can go ahead and add it on there. Okay. And some other cool things that Khan has to offer is going to be this Khan Academy refresh. Now, again, I'm going to send this to you guys, but Khan Academy does some like 5-minute activities. So this activity is create a new emoji that if it existed, you would use all the time. So then you guys would just, be silly, make an emoji. It doesn't have to be a smiley face, but I'm making a smiley face right now. So it's really cool. It's a really cool resource to use. Some of the questions might not be appropriate for, the younger kids, and some of the questions that might not be appropriate for the older kids. So just based on what grade level you have the child would be the great answer. So I'm just going to click on this like arrow, draw or write what you think a tiger dreams of. See, that's a great question for maybe like the younger to like the elementary, maybe the younger middle school. But I wouldn't do that with with a high schooler, a 12th grader. Draw a flag that represents your neighborhood. They have really cool questions that you might want to open up with, or you might want to close off with. Does anyone have any questions on anything that we spoke before we go on to Katie's part?
I noticed that they only have second grade reading and vocabulary under the reading and language arts on Khan Academy.
Okay, let me check that out for you. So you said that there's only second grade reading?
Yeah. Well, I went up to second grade, but I didn't see reading for first graders.
Oh, for first graders, because I think you have to go, I think it's a different application. So you might have to download Khan Academy. This has happened with a tutor in the past with me, is that they actually have to download Khan Academy to go through the kindergarten resources. So it's free and it's on here, but I think you have to download Khan Academy for kids or something like that. It's a little different than just regular Khan Academy.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and then Estefania, you had a question?
Yes, hi. The question came up because I don't know if I understood correctly that you said if you're tutoring like different kids at the same time because they're on the same grade level. And they kept talking. So it's like, oh, can I tutor kids with different kids at the
So
same? Oh,
So what I meant by that, I apologize for that miscommunication on my part. But what I meant about that is if you have multiple second graders that are going over the same topics and subjects, you can use the same resource for each child. So for example, I can use the same Mad Lib. So I don't have to look for a different Mad Lib for each child. I don't have to look for, multiple questions. It could be something where I just make the slide beforehand and I can use that same slide for them all.
okay, got it. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Any other questions before we move to Katie's part of the presentation? No? Okay, so Katie is one of our tutors here. She's been working with us for a while, so she might have some cool insight for some of our tutors that are newer. Katie, if you want to go ahead and pop on, I'll stop sharing my screen.
So I have glasses on because I have light sensitivity, in case you're wondering. So I have a little bit different perspective maybe than some other tutors because I actually have high functioning autism and ADHD myself. So I'm just going to give one example. So some of the backgrounds that Ariana was using and some of the token boards, those are actually too stimulating for me. So I wouldn't be able to use those for me to look at that. It's too stimulating for me. So I want to go, but I specifically wanted to go over verbal and nonverbal communication, specifically with autistic children and ADHD. I use a lot of, I'll take these off just for a second so you can see my eyes. Oh, that's hard.
It's okay, you can keep it on.
Well, I want them to see my facial expression. So when you're talking, you always want to look, especially for children that are either nonverbal A or B, they're very minimally verbal. They have a very hard time, even including myself, because I'm high functioning. We have a very hard time of picking up on either, for example, sarcasm. We don't pick up on that very well. We also don't pick up on sometimes if someone's joking or not. So with children that are autistic, doesn't matter what age they are, you have to over exaggerate your facial expression. So for example, like Ariana made something, she made slightly giggle that, she's joking. If I was going to be joking, I don't even know. I think most of my kids are autistic. I over exaggerate my facial expressions and I'll be like, I'll smile really big and I maybe might get a little bit dramatic, but it'll be very obvious that I'm joking, not just, hey, I'm joking in my tone of voice. They have to see that I'm like excited. However, you also don't want to get too overly excited for children that are autistic because it can overstimulate them. So even myself. So for example, I always keep a very, even now you notice I naturally have a pretty monotone tone of voice, which is common for most people, children and adults that are autistic. But at the same time, I always use, I don't think I have any saved in my computer right now, but let me see if I can pull up something. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a example of some of the YouTube videos that I almost always use for all of my students. So give me 1 second. I'm going to screen share. So here's multi-digit multiplication with regrouping. Or here, one of my favorites is subtraction. Here we go. This is, let's see, how do I get back to my,
Teachers, I have a website that is going to blow your mind and help.
where did my, okay, so I'm going to screen share now. Where did it go? I just lost it, of course. 1 second. There we go. So this one I use for pretty much for all of my kids.
When your kid is out so much in the classroom, it is called Generation.
So
hi, this is Mr. Grove. Today's math review.
So this video, you'll notice it's very kinesthetic. It'll show them what to do. It does have some pictures in the beginning.
We have to decide what place.
A way you can also do this is when you go through the video. So let's just say in the very beginning, where I'm gonna start with what place do we start in? So when you're teaching the basics, the hundreds, tens, and the ones place, you can pause it. And then if they're only having a hard time, for example, like I'll fast forward it to example. So I have some children that, go back to, that only have a hard time when they have to regroup more than one place. So instead of starting at the very beginning, I'm not sure if you know this, you can always fast forward or rewind it to just that specific part of that presentation. So that's one thing. And then also Jack Hartman, I use a lot of videos for him with, for example, well, here, let me do counting on fingers. Here's another one. So I have some, this is another common one I use, addition by counting on. So I have a student right now that she likes to count out loud. But she also has a hard time of just memorizing the facts. So I'm just trying to get her to go to just to the second step, which is she's saying it in her head, but she's using her fingers. So instead of actually saying one out loud, she'll say one in her head, but she's able to go instead of actually saying out loud. Because I said, remember in school, when you're taking a math test, you can't say one out loud. You have to think it inside your head, and you can show it on your finger though, like as you're taking a test. So sometimes I have to take things step by step, especially with them. It's very difficult for them to go just from, you know, all of a sudden from counting out loud to, you know, doing a bunch of addition flashcards. They kind of need things like broken up into steps. So this is another great one to use. Another thing I want to go over is if you go to your bottom of screen and you look on reactions, so you see how there's the normal icons there. A lot of times when they have a question, you see me do it. I raise my hand like this. Sometimes waving your hand like this at the screen gets their attention. It's too stimulating for them. They'll start. The thing with autistics is that they'll copy everything you do. So keep that in mind. Like if you go like this, chances are they're going to go like this and they're going to get really overly excited and it's going to distract them. So if you stay calm, they're probably going to stay calm too. So one thing, I have a student named JJ, and whenever he gets, sometimes I have to keep in mind that there will be children where, especially in the beginning, they may not always get the answers right, or it'll be consistent that they're always getting the same topic wrong. So what I try to do is, even if they get something wrong, I'll say, good try. I'll still applaud, especially if they can stay focused for the whole lesson. And even if they get, let's say 50% of problems wrong because they're just having a bad day, I'll still applaud their efforts. I'll say, great session today. We'll work harder on such and such and next time, because if you only reward them when they get an answer right, their self-esteem goes completely out the door, and they don't want to have tutoring the next time. So you always want to applaud their efforts even during the lesson. Good work, good try, thanks for paying attention, stuff like that. So my student JJ, every so many questions, instead of using like a big token board like what Ariana used, I'll say, for example, I pick something that I like and he likes. So for example, I'll pick a French fry. Someone just raised their hand. Was that me or someone else? Did someone raise their hand? I see hand on the screen. Did someone else raise their hand? Someone
That's you. That's you. And I just lowered yours.
I think I accidentally did that. Okay. So I know he loves French fries. So I'll say, hey, good job, JJ. I'm going to give you a French fry. And then he'll say, well, we have a habit. He'll actually give me something back. And he'll give me, let's say he knows I like monkeys a lot. So he'll give a monkey back. And that's kind of like sometimes my little mini break instead of playing like, a whole game or a whole video for like, let's say 3 or 4 minutes. They get a tiny little break. They get a positive reinforcement. And then we go back to our lesson. And you'll see, I also use a lot of gestures when I communicate with them. So for example, I'm going to go to my whiteboard. Let's say I'm breaking down. I don't have the best handwriting, so please forgive me for that. So for example, we'll do 213 times 4. I'll say, okay, what's the first thing that you do? And I always break it down into steps with my fingers in addition to just using my words. They like to see the nonverbal gestures. So then they'll say, a lot of times they won't say 4 times 3. They'll actually just start doing it. They'll put whatever here. And then if they do each step right, instead of just applauding them at the correct answer at the end of the problem, I'll do it throughout the problem. So if they do this, I'll say, great, good job, keep going. So they know that each step of the problem, they did something right. And that kind of helps keep their confidence going. Another thing is I had a student, let's see. Her name was, I can't say her last name. Her name was Annalyn. And I had her, I think she was one of my very first students, first or second student. And I could use these things with her. But if I started raising my voice, even anything like, hey, great job, she would get all way overly stimulated. So you really have to take the time to get to know if you have a child that's autistic, because you'll find out pretty quick. For example, like Ariana's background, I couldn't use that for myself. Or it's really important to watch for not just what you're doing, but you want to really look at their nonverbal gestures. So if you see a child go like this, for example, or like this, or turning their head, they may not say, I'm not interested. That's basically their way of saying they're bored. So make sure you look for those types of things, or they start, like me, I'll start fidgeting, or, I'll just go like this. That means I'm bored. And then that's also a key for, instead of just saying, focus, let's get back to our lesson. That's a great opportunity to incorporate like a song or something. Or sometimes I'll change topics. So for example, I have one student that's in 8th grade and he's only working at a 3rd or 4th grade level right now. He started at kindergarten with basically kindergarten grade level with me. So for him, let's say I have 3 different things I want to address. Like I wanted to do, let's say, subtraction with three-digit subtraction with regrouping. And I also wanted to review his multiplication facts. Let's say if I wanted to spend most of the lesson on subtraction, but I can tell that he's getting really bored and he's starting to get fidgety, or I can tell he's starting to use, I can pick up on like frustration gestures, even though they don't usually say it, like they'll do this or this, you know, something like that. That's pretty much your cue to change the topic. But if you just say, you know, focus, so let's get back to this or let's get back to that, sometimes that can actually cause them to, I don't like to use the words act up, but that's what some people, sometimes that can reinstigate negative behaviors we don't want to reinforce. But sometimes I'll ask him, I'll give him a choice. They like to have choices. I'll say, okay, to start the lesson, do you want to do 2-digit redo grouping, or do you want to start with reading comprehension today? And they like to be able to verbalize what they want to do. So, and I also like to work with, most of my students have either ABA or speech therapists at home. So it's easy for me because I keep in constant communication with the parents. I'll say, what do you want them to work on today? Because I might have my own agenda up here of what I want to work on. But a lot of times the parent will specifically text me worksheets of what they're doing in school, even though I want to work on something completely different, you know, in the lesson. And I always ask the therapist, whether it's speech, behavior, whatever, their parents, I ask them, I said, what rewards are you guys using at home? You know, most of them, they love earning their iPad. So, you know, I'll say, okay, if you can get 50 points with me today, you'll get your iPad. Or another student loves, what is she like? Chick-fil-A. All kids like Chick-fil-A, right? So I'll say, okay, your mom can give you, you know, a fry, or, you know, you can get lunch today at Chick-fil-A, something that they know that they like. So it's a really good idea to, you know, try to keep in communication with if your students have any therapists. It's very common for them too. So breaking up with your fingers, taking time to speak a little bit slower, including myself. I have a hard time, I think it's called aphasia. I have a hard time breaking down information, and that's very common with autistics. And after I say something, like if I say, you know, we start in the ones place, instead of just saying it, I'll do it. And then instead of going on to the tens and hundreds place, I'll say, do you understand what I just did? And a lot of times they won't say yes or no, but they'll do this, they'll do this. So, you know, 1, breaking up, 2, watching for their nonverbals, 3, trying to use, try to lower your voice a little bit to a lower tone of voice and not be like overly energetic like you might with typical children that don't have really any specific, I don't know what the word is. I don't like to use the word diagnosis because I don't like to use that word. Autistic, we call it typical, I guess. Children that usually have just general learning disabilities don't usually have some of these specific either behavior or communication issues. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So for smiley faces, I generally like to pick from the icons instead of, sometimes I'll draw a smiley face on the board, but it's a lot easier for me. Or if I'm joking around and, you know, they say some type of joke to me, I'll smile and then I'll put something like this. That says to me and them that I'm joking and they know it's a joke. You know, throwing in little jokes throughout the lesson is breaks. So there's a lot of like breaks that you can use with people that get really bored, you know, these little icons, the songs. But a lot of kids with the songs, you want to make sure it's okay to, I use at least one song in every lesson. But if I can tell that song is getting to be too stimulating or they're getting too hyper, I automatically quit the song. Even if it's trying to make like, you know, a point in the lesson, I'll quit the song and I'll go straight to my whiteboard and I'll say something to the effect of, okay, we're going to do it this way together. And I always use that, as a lot of teachers do. I always use the I do, we do, and then you do. And then if they don't get it during one of those steps, I will not go on to the next one. And sometimes you may not get always to the you do at the end, unfortunately. Sometimes you may only get to the we do together. Does anyone have any questions or comments about what I've said so far? Do you find this to be helpful or not helpful? Anyone? I can't see everyone, so I don't know who all is on here. Can I get any feedback from anyone?
Yes, so helpful. Thank you so much. Everything was super helpful.
I'm actually going to put my email on here. Oh, this host, hold on, is that to everyone? No, that's everyone. There we go. I'm going to put my email in here. If you want to, I don't mind giving out my phone number. I don't want to give it out to everyone. But I have had current tutors like that are, call me, that I've had to give some students away because I had a brain injury and I've lost a lot of cognitive abilities. I can now only work with a lot of younger children. But I've had those tutors call me and say, okay, where are you during the lesson? What material you're on, but then I'll also communicate, what redirection strategies are working, what kind of communication techniques they're used to working with the parents. I would say at the very beginning, before you do I always take the time to talk to the parent before my initial session. I'll call them, I'll introduce myself, I'll get their general background information. What's their teacher saying at school? Where do you think you are? What issues are they having at school? Is it attention? Is it comprehension? To get general information before you actually do your assessment, because then you kind of know during your assessment what to target more on. Another thing, as you've probably seen with me, autistics have a very hard time with eye contact. Just because they look away like this doesn't mean they're not paying attention. It just means that either sometimes it could mean that there's something in their environment that's distracting them, like a lot of noise. It could mean, I always look this way usually if I'm trying to think about what to say. That's common also. Don't get frustrated. Don't say, are you paying attention? It doesn't work. That will get them very mad and very frustrated. If you're being really serious with them and you want them to calm down, for example, say, hey, let's calm down, change your tone of voice, but also use oh, okay, I didn't know that, sorry. I think she kind of already covered that. I was reading Ariana's message to me, so, okay. So she wants me to focus on keeping it engaging. So the comments using more visual kinesthetic activities, like I said, the videos, using videos like the counting on fingers that break down each step. I try to use the visual kinesthetic activity first. So I always start out with a song. So let me show you. I always start out, let's say, this is one of my favorite videos, and I have this for pretty much all of my students, let me find this one. Let me share my
Teachers,
screen.
I have a website that is going to blow your mind and help you and your kiddos out so much in the classroom. It is called Generation Genius.
So I like to start out with a fun song. This is a great one. This company, Number Rock. I'll put that in the is it Number Rock? Not me. NUM Number Rock. Number Rock YouTube videos is a great, those have math of all different kinds in there. I like to start out with a fun song like that. And then I'll go to actually doing the problem on the whiteboard. If I can tell they're getting bored, then I'll have another video such as, but instead of that one that could be a little bit more stimulating, I'll go back to one that we did before that's a little bit more calm with the regrouping. For example, this one, where it's
more on the floor. So
it still shows the material.
Hey, Mr. Tins, can I have one? Sure,
But
3
as you can
tins.
tell, it's not really a song. It's a video that shows you how to do it, but it's still kinesthetic. So that's the pattern I like to use. I like to use the song to get them excited to learn, try to do some, and then I like to use the video that breaks down the information. So I try to address if they're just an auditory learner, which most autistics are, not even just autistics, all learning styles, you want to try to take the time to address every learning style. So I hope that was helpful. It looks like we may go into more detail in the future, but I hope that was at least helpful as an introduction.
Great job, Katie. Thank you so much for your help. Yeah,
Thank you.
for everyone interested in going and diving deeper on working with children who have special needs, we're going to have some trainings in the future. We don't have anything scheduled as of right now, but that may be something that we go over in May. And again, if you guys have any questions, anything that I can help out with, my email is up on there. I can share my phone number with everyone. I respond better on text message. I respond better on emails than I do with phone calls or text messages. Just, right now I have been away from my phone, focusing on this. So if you guys have any questions, Katie says if you have any questions for her as well. Again, this is recorded. Now, now that we're going to be closing out our meeting, I'm going to be sending everyone a survey, and I would really appreciate it if everyone can fill that out. It really helps me to figure out what I can do to improve on these trainings, what things that you guys might want to go over in the future. So if you guys have any topics that you might have questions on, even if it's diving in deeper with Zoom, if it's resources using Khan Academy, anything at all, please fill that survey out. It takes 5 minutes, and I would really appreciate the feedback from everyone. I want to improve for our next meeting. And again, for those of you who might need help with your monthly reports, your sign-in sheets, and how to navigate through Tutor Cruncher, we're going to have a meeting on the 27th at the same time, same link. If you guys want to join that meeting, it's typically helpful for our newer tutors as well, because that second everything will be due for payment on the 5th. So I will be sending out an email later today with all those resources, with the surveys. And if anyone has any helpful resources to share with all of our tutors, please email me back with those materials, and I can do a blast out to everyone and edit our drive. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
I meant to put that as, oops.
So again, please let me know if there's anything I can help out with, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.
You too.